course, and I went ahead and linked it there. So when you open it, it's going to go through and ask you to make a copy of it. And that's just so that you can then do with it whatever you need to. And in here, it'll go through and it gives you quite a few. Nope, that's the family one. Sorry, let me come back into the home. But one of the things I was going to point out on this one, for those of you that already know Seesaw and know the benefits of it and how to use it and what it looks like, and you're just trying to figure out how to transition over and have your kids do it at home, you may not need to sit through our whole session today about Seesaw. You just need to know how to get them on at home. So if you look at that home learning or remote learning with Seesaw presentation, it's being a little slow today. The rain, I guess, makes the internet slow. I don't know. So it'll go through, and it has, Seesaw is great about the materials they provide for both teachers and families. And so you can come, it'll even say if you're new to Seesaw, you can go and log in. But on this one, if you'll just kind of take a note, and if you scroll down, if you already use Seesaw and you just need to know how to get them on at home, starting on about slide 18, it'll start telling you if you had originally had them sign in with their email accounts, they can still do that. If you want to send home the QR codes, if that's how they had logged in class, they always just scanned that QR code on the desk or in your room somewhere, then it has in Seesaw, there's home learning codes, and each kid has its own code. And I'll go in and show you that in a minute as well. But this will show you, it'll look just like those learning ones you did and you sent home individually, but there's one specifically for home learning. And so on each child's page that it generates, it's going to give them a QR code and this alphabetic code. So you can send that to each kid. If they're already on Seesaw, you can do it as a message you send in Seesaw to tell them, enter this code for your child at home, and Seesaw will work. There are wonderful videos and stuff in here as well that will walk you through it. So, I wasn't going to recreate the wheel because they already have that. This right here would be, something you could send to your parents. This is exactly what students will do when they're at home with that code. So they've already got the graphics, the videos, and everything to send to your students and parents to show them exactly how to get on at home. On slide, yeah, there you go. It tells you specifically one of the things that might get a little confusing for them at home is the students' work in the Seesaw class app. So that's the app the students need to be using to do their work. If the family is just checking in, like if they had been at school and I just want to see what my kid is posting, it's the Seesaw family app. So the students will always work in that Seesaw class app. There's two different ones. Okay. Let me go in real fast. I want to show you in Seesaw some of the things. If you are not a Seesaw user or you haven't been a Seesaw user, a couple of things that you should know is Seesaw is amazing in that when we want kids to be able to explain their work to us, to give us a video or to give us their voice and talk about something that they've done, to take pictures of something and send it to you, Seesaw does all of that in one nice, neat package and organizes it all for you. The interface of it is super user-friendly for students. Even pre-K, we have the littles use it a lot because it gives them options to share their thinking and their learning when they're not quite literate and writing as well yet. It also allows you to send them activities that they can write on top of and annotate on and draw and write. So there's lots and lots of things that happen. Right now, obviously, parents see what their kids are doing, but in a normal situation when we have school, parents don't see what their kids are doing very often. And one of the biggest benefits of Seesaw is that when those families join the family join code, anytime the kid posts something in their Seesaw, the parents see it. Like I can go for my son and I see what he's doing and I hear him explain his work, and I can then have, because every time he comes home, if I ask, what'd you do today? What's the answer? Then I'm like, I don't believe you. So it's a way to open up those conversations and really have parents see what's going on in your classrooms. As a parent, it's been one of the best things I've seen in years. So in Seesaw, you guys see my screen here. If you've not signed up, you just sign up for free. It is free for educators. And if you notice at the top, they have this bar. This is where I pulled a lot of the resources that were on that sheet. Okay. This is for them. It's a lot of the same links we put on what I provided to you on the agenda. They are amazing at giving you exactly what you need, giving you the graphics, giving you the instructions. So you'll see, you know, are you looking for teacher resources or for things to send to your families? It's all right here. And they will have videos, screenshots, everything. But back to this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in to my account so I can show you a couple of things. And thank you, Denise, for being in the chat and answering questions through the chat, because it's very hard to do the meet and moderate the chat at the same time. So I appreciate that. Let's see if it'll come up. And you can have multiple Seesaw classes if you need to. It's up to you how you kind of want to set it up. I have a couple of them. This is one I was doing with a fashion club that I was doing at one of the campuses. So that's why you're seeing it. So when I'm in here, this particular class, if you notice in the top left, if I click here, it will show my other classes, and I can create new classes if I need to. Okay. But I'm going to look in this one for right now, just to show you a couple of things. So when I add the kids, okay, I can go in, and in the bottom, it says students. When I click students, this is where if I didn't have any students, it would prompt me to follow the prompts and add my students here. And then I can, if I need to add additional ones, I can add a student, and you just add them by their name. So you can, and if you want to paste a whole list instead of doing your kids individually, you can click paste a list, and you can simply paste a list of your students' names, and it'll create an account for each one. Just make sure that it's one per line. So you could copy that from somewhere else, dump it here, and it'll load all of your kids for you. Okay. So then from that point, you don't need that anymore. From that point, that gets them in your classroom. On the bottom right is where you could add the families and invite the family members. But instead of all of this, I mean, you can go type this in if you want, but you could print those invites and share them with your family if you don't know all their parents' emails. All right. Let me close this. Let's go look at some of the things that you can do. And real fast, I'll also show you up at the top right. Do you see the wrench that's over here? That wrench is where you're going to go. There's a lot of the settings that you can go look at. You can kind of manage teachers. If you are working on a team and y'all want to have multiple teachers on that Seesaw classroom, you can do that. My daughter does this club with me, so she's also a teacher on my Seesaw class. So she can post and she can respond to kids as a teacher. But you just invite them by email right there. That's how you add another one. It's under Manage Teacher. As you come down, this is where you choose how your students are going to sign in. If you want to share, if you want to tell them they're just going to sign in with email, okay? That may be easier for some of your older kids. You know, you can simply click that and sign in by that. But if they're signing in by the QR code, then under Home Learning Student Codes, that's where you're going to get those codes that work at home for them to get on Seesaw. So from here, what you can do, you can either download them or you can print them. And there's a video for this in the in those materials. There's a video that walks through this and tells you exactly how to send them to your parents. But you can tell it. I'm going to just say print so you see. Wait a second. I'm sorry. Wait on it. So when you look, it'll even tell you, it gives you the instructions here at the first part. But then if you scroll down, you'll notice here's this child. Here's instructions specifically for that child. And here's the student access code for home. Okay. And then if you come down to this next child, you notice the code is different for that child. So what you can do is take those codes and then send a private message to the parent in Seesaw if they were already there, and have them say, when your student joins Seesaw, have them put in this new code, and they can then work from home on Seesaw. And those codes are good. Even if you regenerate new codes, they will still be good, but they're good for 90 days for those home learning codes. So We'll see at that point if we need to generate a new code and send it to them, but those will be good for 90 days. You can also come down and set some other parameters for your class, like whether they can give comments to one another, whether they need approval for you to approve their comments, okay? And if you want them to be able to give each other like the social media like. So sometimes that's an element that the students really like because it gives them that social aspect of interacting with each other. This is also where you can go in and manage families and invite, your families and stuff, okay? Let's see. There's lots of other things you can kind of look through and kind of check as you need to for how you want that to look for your classroom. So when we come back here, sorry, just a second. Something popped up. I got to get rid of that. So when we're in Seesaw, and if anybody needs to unmute and kind of, ask a question, I know that we have the chat and Denise is great about moderating over there and answering questions. But if you have a question or something goes wrong, just unmute and tell me. So here is my Seesaw classroom. And you can see in the journal, I can see all of my students. Right now, I'm looking at the class journal. So I see all of the things that my students have posted, the videos, the pictures of what they were creating. I see all of that here. If I only wanted to go look at one student, I can simply select that student, and then it will show me anything that that child has posted in their journal. Okay? And they can see each other's work, and they can, like I said, give each other those likes and those comments back and forth. You do have to, I have it set to where I approve the posts, so I have to look at it and approve it before it gets put in there. Same thing with comments. If they comment on one another, or if a parent comments, it goes through the teacher, and I can moderate that before I post it. Just an added layer of protection, especially since this is used with our littles more often. So here, if I want to give my kids an assignment, you can do that. And this, let me tell you, before we get to assignments, I'm sorry. Your announcements, when you're talking to your families, it's a great way also. It's a great tool to communicate. If you don't use Remind or Dojo, this is also a way, if you already have Seesaw, you can communicate to your parents through Seesaw. So when you say plus, you have some options. You can either post student work, assign an activity, or send an announcement. Those codes that we talked about a while ago, those home learning codes, this is how you can send that. So if I wanted to send this to my students, if I wanted to send an announcement to everybody, I would send it, all students and family, and I can send an announcement, right? But if you're wanting to send it to individual students, you would do that. You would do that differently, and I'll look at that in just a minute. So that's how you post announcements. You can send out information. You can attach documents. You can, notices that you want them to be aware of. But if we want to actually give our students activities to work on, you can come here, and I like when you say assign activity, you can create your own, but there's a plethora of activities already created that you can go and start there. You can grab things, and then you can even edit them. So up here at the top, these are ones that happen to be just in my library, but I want to look to see, in the community of Seesaw and the billions of people who are more creative than me, I'm going to look in community, and then there will be a ton of things you can look through. So let's say I might be looking at, I want something for 5th grade, and I'm really looking for, I'm looking for 5th grade math. Okay, I can filter by 5th grade math, but I can also, look, this is going to be, I'm going to say I'm looking for fractions. So I can come and I can go through and see, and you'll be able to tell 3,000 people liked that one. You might have one that's brand new that only has 2 people, maybe, but so I'm going to find one. I'm like, you know what? My kids struggle with simplifying fractions. Let me look to see what that looks like. And you could have typed in simplifying fractions. You can search specifically. So if this looks to be like an activity, oh, great. This is not simplified. I just need them to sort which ones are in their simplest version, which ones aren't. I like this activity. I can tell it, I would like to assign that to my class. And I can pick which class. So the one we were looking in was this one. And I'm going to tell it assign to that class. Once you do that, you can go in. If you didn't like exactly how it looked, you can go edit that. And you can go, I'm not going to, you can send it to other teachers. I'm not going to right now. So when I tell it that, I should be able to go back to my class, and I'm going to be able to see that. Oh, there we go. When I went back to my class, I can see that in the activities. Okay. So in this activity, I can come in and hit these 3 dots, and I can tell it, let me edit that, because it wasn't exactly like I wanted. I also want them to, so this is telling them, you know, they're going to label it and sort it. And once I can put audio instructions there as well. I can tell them. So my littles that can't read yet, I can give them audio instructions. And it sounds like they have some too.
Add the Seesaw activity. Using the label option, sort the fractions based on whether they're.
So that person who made it has an audio there, but you could delete it and make one of your own by telling it add multimedia instructions. Okay. And or you could even tell them, I want you to make sure to, you know, to, if they didn't have the expectation of them to talk about it, you can tell them, I want you to record. So if that's exactly then how you want it, then you can save that, and then it'll be available in that classroom for all of those. And then, I don't know what happened there. I must have accidentally hit the wrong thing. Sorry. It'll be available there for your kids to work on. And when they pull that activity up, they can drag those things to the appropriate place. So that's how you can kind of go search for other activities and add them to your class for what's already out there. Again, you can also create your own. You do it the same way. Assign activity. And then you're going to tell it this time you want to create a new activity. And I can type, you know, testing Seesaw. I can type whatever instructions I want. I can tell them, I want you to take a picture of your whatever assignment you had sent them. Maybe you had them, my son had to collect seeds and talk about seeds. So it's like, share what seeds you collected, take a picture of them and explain where they came from and, you know, the life cycle of that plant. This is your text instructions, obviously. And then this is where you could also record. You're going to need to allow your microphone, but I can click and record my audio instructions to the students. Okay. When you're adding a template down here, let me go back and show you because I just clicked that pretty fast. At the bottom, this is very important, where it says add template for student responses. If you want them to draw something for you, or if you want to send a picture to them that they look at, or if you want to use some kind of a video that they're going to watch, you can do those things here. Like if I wanted to add a photo out of myself, that's terrible. I can take a photo from my, let me get off of that. Sorry. I could add a photo of something that I have on my desk or something I was showing them. I can upload a file that they're going to look at. If I say drawing, this one is one that's really valuable because from drawing, if I do the drawing template, what that allows is I can also pull something in as an upload, and then I can have them draw on top of it. So this would be more like what a digital worksheet might look like that you want them to work with. I'm trying to find something just to grab real fast. That's okay. This is random, but that might be, if you have that on the background, this may be something that you wanted them to interact with. So you put this as a background, and then when you send this as a drawing template, you could have the students label things, circle things, talk about things. They can type text with the text feature there. And most of your kids who have already been using Seesaw know this, and they're fully functional with this. You can also put things that they have to move around. This is how they created the fraction one we saw a while ago, where they had to move what was complete and incomplete. So I could tell it, you know, I could put a label up here, and I could put digraphs, or I could put, you know, these are monocot. Is that how you spell that? Yeah. And then I could have things at the bottom that they would then have to click and drag and sort into the appropriate spaces. So when I give them this, they then have that template to then be moving or creating. It might be spelling words they're sorting. It might be whatever. I would always encourage you, though, to set the requirement that they need to click record and talk about their work before they submit it. Okay. I realized that was pretty quick to go through a lot of that. It's a lot, once you get in and explore. I feel like a lot of you probably have used Seesaw a little. And so some of this is just repeating. But then it comes up here again. You just assign it to whichever class that you want. Okay. You can also build and contribute to their library. Anybody can contribute. So that's one of the reasons when you're in the community and you're looking to find other activities, there's a ton of them there. Just, I caution you to, vet them and look for which ones are going to, be what you need for your class that meet the teach that you're looking at and that are going to have your students, working at the expectation level that you want. Okay. So that part, I think we talked about how do we create them? How do we find other things? How do we get them access at home? Are there other questions that y'all want me to spend some time showing you? Or this right here, like I said, back on our agenda, these resources are phenomenal. And also this one right here, Seesaw does, I think they call it their pajama PD, I think is what they call it, PD in your pajamas. But they have a lot of live webinars that they'll run that the Seesaw people will walk you through some of those more advanced features and just really, utilizing this with your students. Okay. Let me go. I'll kind of check in on the comments. Can you import a class from Skyward? As long as you can copy the list, it doesn't do ingest like some of the others, but as long as you can go copy a list and drop it in that bulk add, you can do that. There you go. Someone else had entered, as a CSV file, copy and paste it. Perfect. They can see each other's work, except, and I apologize for this because with it being new in the home access, in class, they can see what each other post. And then once they post it, they can give each other comments and things. With the home access, I'm not 100% sure if it looks the same way because Seesaw is very good about following the privacy laws for students. And they know that with the home access, parents, you're doing this with others and in your home. I don't know that for sure. If it looks quite the same way, if they can see each other's the same way. How to share with your team again? Yes, I'll show you that again. So if you were creating an activity, also one thing I didn't mention, students don't have to have an activity posted for them to be able to post something. So like over here in the journal, a student, when they pick up their iPad and open or their computer and go to app.seesaw and say that they're a student, they can click this plus. It won't look the same right now because I'm in a teacher view. They can click the plus and tell you, I want to, what happens is it ends up looking exactly like the template I did a while ago. They can choose to just take a picture of something and explain it without having to have an assignment from you. They can share anything they're doing in Seesaw in their journal. So like in the classroom, if they were going to a station, they just know that when I go to the station, I'm always going to take a picture of what I did in that station and explain it to my teacher. Or I'm going to take a picture of, or a video of me doing the math problem as I do the think aloud and turn that into you. So they don't have to have an activity posted from you before they can post to their Seesaw. So when I want to add somebody else to show again how to share it with my team, I'm going to go find one in the community. And let's go, I'll look at maybe a different grade this time. We'll look at 3rd grade. And look, they even have like remote learning. Seesaw, like I said, they're great about kind of like, they'll have like seasonal type activities and lessons, but social learning, things like that. But let's say we're going to look at, I want to do a problem solving. And this is maybe the activity that I wanted to give them. I'm going to click it. When you look here and once you assign it to your class, it's going to ask you if you want to assign it. Yes, there. It didn't give me the same prompt as a while ago. I think under more options it may also, nope, that's teacher notes. Give me a second because it didn't give me the same thing this time. Well, chime in if anybody else knows why that didn't tell me that time. But if nothing else, you can also tell them exactly what you found if it's one you found. If you create one, you may be able to add it as well. Let me double check. Sorry, that's taking a little bit. Yeah, feel free to unmute if you know an immediate answer to that question. So this one that I was working on a while ago, when I assign, let's see if it does. And you can schedule it to show up at a certain time as well. When I assign it, it still does this. So I don't know why it's not prompting me anymore to share it with or email others on there. I imagine there's a setting. I can look that up and then I will add it to that agenda. I will find the specific instructions for how to share it with the teachers and I'll add it to this that you can come back to when we're done. Because I'm sure they already have a video. Making a note. Okay. What else? Let's see. Seesaw does integrate with Google Classroom, but the way that it integrates is if they do anything on Seesaw, they can share to Google Classroom. So, and you can pull things from Google Classroom from there. So if they, let's see if I can go to a student view and see real fast if it lets me. I'm going to switch to a student account and tell it I'm a student. I know that a lot of times when they create things, they like on another program, when they share it, they can share it straight to Seesaw. And then it shows up in Seesaw. Even if they did it in a separate program like Book Creator, they could say share to Seesaw. Or if they do it, same thing, like Google Classroom has that feature a lot too, where they create something in a third party, and when they share their work, they can either send it to Classroom or they can send it to Seesaw. This one, let's see. Share item. And when I say share item, I can click from here. I can click my share link, and I can go turn that link in Google Classroom. So that's one way to do it. And then be able to, that would then, push you there. But you could look at it in the Google, you could look at it in their Seesaw Classroom and interact with them and give them comments and stuff. So like on this, I could click, and you as a teacher can click and either type feedback and the parents have the same option, and the students. Anybody can comment here. So I could give them feedback here, but I could also, I could have also clicked the microphone when I say comment, and I can leave a voice comment for them. So I can just leave audio feedback for them. And it works the same way in this other part. I hope that answered that question for y'all. I've learned that doing these is difficult when you don't have people speaking and you don't see everybody's face to face too. Click on the 3 dots in that screen. Yes, I think, and it gave the link. Yes, I do believe that they have foreign language activities as well. You're gonna have to wait, kid. Let me go back to I'll go back to the teacher account. So if it's like Spanish 1, they're It tends to be a little more geared for youngers, but there are secondary activities in here. So when I say search here, and then I'm looking, I'm gonna assume Spanish, but there may be others. So if I look for Spanish verbs, oh, there's not a ton, are there? There's one here. If I look for just Spanish, let's see what happens. Oh, that's looking in my library. Make sure you don't make that same mistake. I don't have very much information on that, but the world does. So let me go back. Sorry, I'm working on this screen, so it's probably me looking up a lot. But okay, so in the community is where we want to look because we want to go borrow. If I'm looking at Spanish verbs, now we have a plethora of all kinds of different Spanish greetings, verb quiz. So let's say this one was nouns and verb sort. So on this one, they would have to, that's clearly not Spanish though. Let's see. This says it's Spanish. So that's what you just have to kind of look. So this, what they would have to go in and draw a line or match these. And then maybe it's also great because they do have that, the record feature, and it can record their voice. If you're upper grades, you know, and you need a way for them to record audio of pronunciation and speaking as part of your TEEPs, then this is a great way because they can record and you can hear them speak it. And you could even give them a response back in Spanish. So that would be, you know, a great benefit for that. So yeah, they have some. You just have to kind of look and type in specifically maybe what you were looking for. Color, Spanish.
So I had a question about, I saw that you did the matching. And so I was going to say, how do you go about making one of those matching things?
Okay, I'll show you again real fast. So when you're in there, when you create, let me go back for a second. That's where you're going to do the template kind of thing. So assign an activity. And then I'm going to tell it create. And again, I am more than happy to show you. But like I said, Seesaw has great resources. So I'm going to tell it create a new activity. And then I'm going to say matching, matching colors. I don't know. So if this is for youngers, I might have them match colors. And then I tell them what to do. I add voice instruction and any of the, if I want to add multimedia. But down here, this is where you're going to get the template that would allow you to create that board that they manipulate. Drawing is the one you really want to use for that. And so I might have them, like I might actually draw. Let me make a bigger one, a fatter one. Okay. So I might come over here and I might, you would do it better than this. I might go give them, I might find pictures that I uploaded or take pictures of something. I might give them words. And then I could give them over here, I can create by a text. I can create these. And whatever you drag and have them do, you can put them at the bottom. I could put my little graphics that I've drawn over here. And so your instructions might be for the students to match the color with the picture that it applies to. So the students could, however they choose to do that, they could then use a pencil tool and they could, you know, draw lines from one to the other. But then they can also always hit this record button and they can talk as they're doing it. So, you know, I chose this picture to match with blue because this one is blue. I chose this one to match with red because it's red. So they can really use that feature to talk through it. And when they say pause, then they would tell it. This is thinking I'm right now giving them that as instruction, but the student will be able to do it the same way. And they're going to get this up here. It always checks, are you sure that's what you want to do? And then it'll, you know, you have to tell it yes. So it always kind of gives you that check. But now they would hear those instructions that I just. All right. And then yes.
Thank you.
So whatever you put there, and again, you can go import things from your files or import pictures that you put there that are relevant to your content that you have them match or drag and then interact with. So, and then you just go through. Good question. Let's see. They can video and record themselves. Yes. So when they click plus, let me show you some in, let me go back to the home. And these young folks. Oh yeah, we don't need that. That wasn't a real one. They can when they click the plus, they have the option to just click the video, and they can straight up just, yeah, it can be kind of like Flipgrid, but they can record like when they were in their center. If they wanted to show you, here's what I did, instead of just taking a picture of it, they can just open the video camera, and you can kind of see some of these students in this particular class. And for privacy's sake, I won't play the video necessarily for you, but you can see that child simply opened the video camera and they took a video and explained what we had done in the club that day. So this person, you know, when I hit play, she's talking about what she learned that day and what she created that day. And, you know, so it can be, even if she had not created something tactile, if it was just a worksheet or something she read, she could do her verbal response to that and explain, answer questions, whatever it might be. Yes, they can video. Okay. I'm not sure. I know Denise was answering questions up there, and I saw a couple, but if you have any other questions, feel free to unmute yourself and kind of jump on and ask. And or if you have other things to share about Seesaw, if you're a Seesaw user and you have other tips and tricks for people, feel free to share it with us. I can just tell you as a parent, I wish every assignment my kid did came across through Seesaw so that I could hear and see what he's doing. It's very helpful.
Want me to do everything with Seesaw?
Everybody okay? There will be additional sessions of this throughout the day. High school students could absolutely use it too. I wish that my kids, you know, used it in high school. We don't see it as much just because they tend to use Google Classroom more and things like that. And for whatever reason, they kind of feel like the interface of it is geared more towards littles, which it kind of does, but it's very easy and they could absolutely use it. I have seen some secondary people use it. Actually, one of our facilitators, when he was in the classroom, he was a science for middle school and he used it with his students. And it was a great way for them to, you know, record and video their lab processes or the, you know, experiment processes that they were doing and things like that. Well, if y'all don't have any further questions, we're finished. And like I said, I will look up I'll find the specific video for when I create things, how to email it and share it with my team. They're always available. Like I said, the community has tons of pre-made lessons, you know, especially right now. And if it's new, you don't have to recreate the wheel here. Find something and tweak it to match what you need. But, you know, at minimum, the kids can literally take a picture or take a video and explain what they've done and then send it back in to you. So, good.
Thank you, Selena.
You're welcome. And like I said, there'll be, if you kind of want to hear it again, or if you're just one of those that wants to see it again, we will have a recording of this session. And then there'll also be some additional sessions throughout the day that if you want to come back to it, try it out a little bit. And then you realize now that I'm trying it, I have more questions, you can come back, or you can join the live office hours that our department will be having live office hours all day today, all day tomorrow, and then we'll have them next week as well. And you can always jump on and ask questions or contact your instructional tech coach, and they'll be more than happy to help you as well. Yes, we will be copying it. We will be recording it, and then those will be available on our YouTube channel once we get them uploaded and posted, and you will be able to go back through and watch the video. And the name of our YouTube channel, if you will go follow, it's the at MISD iTech, I believe, is just what you have to go look for. Look for MISD iTech. And we'll be posting some soon. Also on our social media channels. They're usually there. All right. Well, I will go ahead and close out and see you guys later. I hope that you guys are all staying safe and, you know, not going too crazy in your house like some of us. Talk to y'all later. Thank y'all.